Hi, I'm Andrea, and this is the Mainstream Reiki YouTube channel. This video is going to be a little bit different. I want to take you really behind the scenes into a Reiki distant session that I had with a little 2.5-year-old boy, and I'm going to name him Ben for the purposes of this video. And the reason that I'm doing this is I think it's important that we all understand that the world that these little children are growing up in, and these little children themselves are very different than we were at that age, and the world that we grew up in just doesn't exist anymore. And I want to share this with you in an effort to maybe it'll help us understand them a little bit more and see them in a new light, and also understand that what they are experiencing is unique to them. So I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a minute. If you want to see more behind the scenes Reiki videos, and I guess me share more about what comes through in the sessions that I have with my clients, let me know about that, because if there's an interest there, then I will certainly put some energy into making that happen. Anyway, so the first thing I want to tell you is about the way I do my sessions. And over the years, I have found that my senses have really opened up. And so I will, in a session, see things for people, I will hear things for people, and sometimes I just know things for people. But it's important for me to tell you that whatever it is that I do in a session, it's only for the highest good of that person. I'm only interested in information that will help them. And often it's some of that information that I can tell them that they can take back into their life, and it can help them daily with their own healing path, with changing, behaviors or whatever it might be. But again, I'm only interested in finding out things on the behalf of my clients that can help their experience, help them heal, help enrich their lives, and just help them any way possible. The reason that I've been working with Ben is that his grandmother is a client of mine, and she came in and described what his family has been going through with him. He's 2.5, and for over the last year, he's been banging his head quite severely during his sleep. And it doesn't matter where he is. It could be at relatives' homes. He could be in the car. And all of the details really aren't important, to this video and what I'd like to share with you. But the family's tried many, many things, and they, of course, went to the doctor, and I asked my client about that. I wanted to know what on earth has the doctor said about this. And her response was that they told her daughter he would just grow out of it eventually. And I was pretty surprised by that answer. I was pretty disappointed with that answer, and the family was as well. My heart really went out to Ben and his family. I really wanted to help him, and I offered to do some distance Reiki with Ben and see if we could help him. When I do distance sessions like that, I don't necessarily set up a certain time or anything like that, and especially with a child as young as Ben. So the other morning I woke up and it was 3:30 in the morning, and Ben entered my mind. And I took that as a bit of a message that now would be a good time. So I tuned into Ben and I offered Reiki to him. And during that process, what usually happened between myself and Ben. And that is that I got some information about him and what's going on with him in relation to the head banging issue. And the information that came through was that Ben is actually processing a huge amount of energy through his little energetic system. And that the energy that he's processing, this huge amount, it isn't all about him. He only has a little bit that he needs to process for himself. But for some reason, a reason greater than himself, a reason having to do with service of others, he has been processing a huge amount of energy. Again, not his energy, but somehow in service to a greater number of people. And I don't mean just his family either. This goes beyond that. I also was told or learned during the session that indeed his little body and his little energy system was just sort of overloaded. But I want to make something really clear. The overload isn't a bad thing. It's to be expected with the work that he's doing. It is the processing of all of that energy isn't the problem. It's just managing things so that he can do that more efficiently. And I'll come back to that in a minute. Now, his little energy system, his little aura and all of that is just not equipped enough to handle the amounts of energy that he's processing. Now, if you think about this, as he grows and his energy system becomes larger just because he's growing, also his biofield or aura will be larger, he will naturally be able to process larger amounts of energy. Now, maybe that's why the pediatrician had said that kids who do this sort of thing grow out of it. I don't know if every kid who does this is, has the same thing going on as Ben, but it would make sense that, he would perhaps grow out of it. Maybe, though, it wouldn't fix everything, and maybe he would develop other sort of symptoms. I don't really know about any of that. But back to the session. So, again, what I learned was he's processing huge amounts of energy. His little energy body is not large enough to handle it. And so one of the side effects of that is this head banging. It is related, and I'm not saying that there aren't other factors going into the head banging as well, but I can say with confidence that this is related to that. Now, is there anything else that I learned with that in particular? Oh, I should note again that the fact that he's moving all that energy is not the problem. It's not to be fixed. Oddly enough, it might sound odd, but it's very clear to me that some part of Ben agreed to do this, that wanted to do this, wants to do this, that he is in service. And for me as a practitioner to try to undo that or to say, oh no, that's not right, I need to fix that, it would be totally wrong. It would go against all the guidance that I'm receiving about this, and I leave that alone. There's places that we just don't tread, and one of them is free will. It's very clear to me in working with Ben, again, I've never met or talked to him, but working with him energetically, that's a place I don't go. I'm not to interfere with what he's doing energetically and all that energy that he's moving. And I don't even think it's really in my scope to really even investigate further to find out why and all of that. That's not important for what I was asked to do for Ben. All right, so I'm moving all the energy, little body, can't process it all fast enough and efficiently enough, so he's having this sort of side effect. Okay, and I'm just kind of trying to go back in my mind. I don't want to leave anything out, and so, I apologize about the method that I'm talking about in this video. It's kind of hard to talk to a camera about it and really remember all the details at the same time. All right, so now the next phase of this is images. I saw little movie clips of what he could be doing to help himself, what his family can do with him. And the first one isn't the main one, but I do feel it's important. And oddly enough, it's yoga. And why yoga? Because how this came through to me is the energy is causing a physical manifestation, the head banging. And as I said, I think that there can be other factors with that as well, but there is a connection. And then the yoga is meant to be a physical action he can do to help impact the energy. So it's sort of balancing the equation, right? Energy affecting physical, which of course is energy too, but energy affecting physical. Let's do physical affecting energy, and that would be yoga for him. So it can be really fun. The family can do it together. I think the family would be best served doing it together because, you know, we think of ourselves as individuals, but in a family, our energies are all connected. And if one person does energy work, it really helps the other people. And it's important to remember that. All right, but I'm getting off track. So yoga, so the family can do this together. It doesn't have to be a super serious practice or anything like that. He's only 2.5, for goodness sakes. But to have the intention of moving, of creating energy flow through the physical body, that can only be helpful in the process. Now, the main one that came through, I was really excited about and excited to tell the family and describe how this is going to work. So he needs to be a tree, is what I was told. And how I saw this was he could stand with his little feet, you know, not together, but not really wide, just nice and strong. And he would hold his arms out like this, and you can't really see because my hands are, I'm sure, off screen, but I have my hands like this, stretched out and up. And why this? Why is this coming through? Okay. Because what I was told is he's a bridge between the physical and the energetic. He's a bridge between earth and above. And he's this bridge, this energetic bridge. Now, the important thing for him is to create an energy body, support having an energy body that's clean and clear and least resistant, because that will be it will be the most efficient possible to move the energy, the amounts of energy that he's trying to move. And I think my feeling is through the session that if he can incorporate some of these things, but this tree idea and the yoga thing, it will help him manage his work that he's doing. So the tree thing. Now he's only 2.5, so I'm sure that his parents can get together beautiful photos or illustrations about trees that are healthy and vibrant and alive, the branches, the leaves, that kind of thing, but also a beautiful trunk and the roots. And you know, this is a great exercise for children. It doesn't matter if they're like Ben and showing physical manifestation of energetic imbalance or not. This is a great exercise for children in general that can only be helpful. So I would encourage you to, if you know a little child or something like that, encourage you to take notes or whatever you need to do and do this exercise with them, because I see people all the time, adults, who are not grounded very well. And boy, if we start them out young, wow, it'd be really exciting to think about how that can really pay off for them the rest of their lives, and I mean that literally. Okay, so the parents would show Ben beautiful illustrations and photos of vibrant, healthy, beautiful trees, and he would stand with his feet just a little ways apart and the arms out stretched like that, and you know, like a big tree. And what came through for him to imagine, for his parents to kind of coach him on and things, and they can do this as well, they can do this as a family, as a little activity together. But the idea is that Ben would imagine soaking in the water of the earth, the pure water of the earth, the minerals from the soil, whatever it is that makes a tree grow beautifully like that, all that energy that the tree soaks up. He would imagine his roots soaking all that good stuff up and imagine it coming up his body. Now, instead of his parents saying what that feels like, the cool thing would be to ask Ben, oh, imagine what that would feel like. You know, do you feel anything? What does that feel like? And have Ben's imagination engage with the process. That's really, really important, because he'll be visualizing and intending, and energy follows intention. So he will be bringing up all that good stuff from the earth energy, really, bringing it up through his body, and then intending that it can bathe his whole body, you know, however the parents want to do this, but there can be a healing aspect as well, maybe as he gets older doing this, however they're guided. But that energy comes up from the earth. Ask Ben, wow, do you feel something? What does it feel like? What would it feel like if you did feel something? Have it come up, and then out the branches and out the leaves. And the idea is to offer that energy, that the water, all the good stuff from the earth to the sun, to the sky and the sun. And Ben will shine it out of his leaves and offer that to the sky and the sun. And why is that important? Because the sky and the sun don't know the earth, don't know the soil. And Ben is sort of the bridge, right? So he's going to offer that energy to the sky and the sun. And then he's going to imagine and invite the sun in the sky. Really the sun, I guess, right? But the sun's energy to come in through his leaves, through his branches, through his hands and arms and top of his head, and invite that warm, wonderful sun energy, the healing warmth of the sun, into his body, into his leaves in his tree. And imagine, what would that feel like coming down through your body and filling you all up? And the idea here is he does the same thing. He intends that energy flow down through his body and out through his roots to the beautiful soil, to the beautiful earth below him. Why? Because the sun and the soil, the beautiful earth, never get to really be together. But again, Ben is introducing them. Ben is offering them each a new experience for themselves. The sun and the earth coming together really through Ben and because of Ben. And I just think it's kind of a really beautiful exercise, a beautiful sort of little meditation that he could do, and his family could do. Everybody could use their imaginations. As I said, you could add a healing element to that. You know, if Ben has a stomach ache or something like that, and that, you know, he could imagine that the sun's energy comes down and fills his stomach and helps heal his stomach and take the pain away. You know, anything like that. But I think it's a really good foundation and a really good practice to get him started. And again, the idea for that is to ground him and to energetically balance him in a new way, in a predictable way, in a what do I want to say, intended way. Because right now he's just running around like any little 2.5-year-old, which is great. But if he can engage in some things to help balance his energy through the day, and I would say for Ben, doing it before bedtime is hugely important. But I actually have told the parents through my client that to start him twice a day, in the morning and at night. But the nighttime is most important because that's before his sleep cycle. But he takes a nap during the day. So again, that morning practice would be really good as well. What else do I want to say about this? I want to go back and I want to say that our children today are very different. You know, technology, I know technology in my life is hugely different. I mean, you can remember, I mean, we didn't have fax machines. We had rotary dial phones. My grandmother even had a party line. I don't even know if you know what that is, but she lived in the country, and we would pick up the receiver and we'd hear our neighbors' conversations from the street, or you know, the neighbors down the street, because they didn't even have individual phone lines to each house. We've come a really, really long way. And you know, just as we see technology change very rapidly like that, what I've seen in my Reiki practice, what I've heard from other people, and as a parent myself, the children of today are not like generations before. It hasn't been an abrupt change. It's been sort of like technology, gradually changing, but it seems as of late, these changes have become very significant. Now, Ben and the way he's moving all of this energy for the greater good, he's not alone. And as a matter of fact, I have a client, and I first met her probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and she's an adult who has been doing this as well. That's the first time that I actually saw someone doing this work, this moving all of this not excess, but moving a huge amount of energy that's not their personal energy. It's on it's for the benefit of the greater good. And yeah, I was pretty amazed at that time during that session as well, but I hadn't really seen it since in any of my other clients until Ben came along, and I see it in the 2.5-year-old. So there are a lot of things happening energetically that we don't bump into in regular everyday life, especially, you know, us adults who just don't maybe think that way. But it's through my Reiki practice that I've learned so many different things about energy, about life, about really what does go on behind the scenes of people's lives. And I don't know, I guess maybe it's kind of hard to describe, but it's through the intuitive, or I don't like to use the word psychic. I think that has maybe a charge to it. It's a word with a charge, but there are things that I learn through guidance, through my own connection. For the benefit of my clients, there are things that I learn that really blow me away. And if you want to see more videos about things that I've learned through sessions, then I would encourage you to comment below. Let me know if there's an interest in that, then I'll certainly put some energy into that. But I don't know unless you tell me. If you're new to the channel, you can certainly subscribe. Oh, and I will give you a quick update about Ben. Talked to his grandmother this morning, and he's actually had some nights and naps without any head banging. My first question was, well, hasn't he had that before? You know, stretches of time where it's been interrupted and he hasn't had it every time. And you know what? She said no. So something is changing in Ben since we started working together. I'm really excited about that. And now that I just gave her, see, that was before I even gave her the information that I shared with you right now. I just barely gave that to her this morning. So now as they implement that, I can't wait to see the changes that are in store for Ben. I'm really super excited. I'm so humbled and grateful to have been asked to help Ben, and I wish him and his family all the best in moving forward. And I thank you so much for joining me today and listening to my rambling video, but hopefully you'll tune in again in the future. And again, thanks so much. Bye-bye.